Okay, and then we will admit the people. Welcome to the Zoom, my people. You know, the song I've had in my head this week, I don't even know the words to. It's the one that's like, it's Nirvana. It's like, here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid. It's been in my head, y'all, because I watched Black Widow on the plane, and I gotta tell you, I
Okay.
really enjoyed that performance by Scarlett Johansson. And there's a Nirvana cover at the beginning, and it's slowed down, and it's really good. And I was like, wow, I haven't thought about Kurt Cobain in a while. So that's where I'm at this fine day, this Thursday in October. The end of the year is fast approaching. And Nirvana's on my mind. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, my people. You have found yourself in a Zoom square. Hello, Bill. It smells like Teen Spirit. Yeah, Bill. What's up, Bill? Great to see you. We got Howard back. We got ourselves Gettys. We got Gene. What's up, Adam Clark? We got all the Clarks. I don't feel square. Chris, you are not a square. You are a beautiful. What we actually are rectangles, to be honest. But squares is the word. Welcome to Ask Me Anything here. This is our 41st session, which means we are just full-fledged, responsible, sophisticated grown-ups. Am I right? Well, who knows about that? But
Yeah,
okay, this
exactly.
is where we put our questions. Welcome, Jamie. Welcome, Michael. Okay, hello, everybody. My name is Siobhan, and I am your host this Thursday. I will be, facilitating our Zoom experience in the chat that is on hopefully your right-hand corner if you're using a desktop. You can holler at me. You can tell us where you're from. You can tell me, I really want to know your Halloween costume because Halloween is back. I will be Mary Poppins this year, definitely.
Oh,
And
Very nice.
yeah.
and
All right.
I also am really interested in your most horrifying VO experience. That's something I've been trying to get David to tell me. Maybe I'll nurture that out of him today. Hello, Jocelyn. Hello. We got Gettys. We got Michael. Aurelia is coming in. David, our chief edge officer, he is at my Zoom left. I don't know where he is in your squares, but David, hello, my friend. How are you today?
Hey, Siobhan. Episode 41, super cool. Hey, everyone. Happy Halloween. And Siobhan. So, actually, let me back up. Everyone, I'll make this fast. So, Siobhan and I were talking right before the call about the most horrific experience I've ever had at Edge. Now, she asked me for this about 2 weeks ago, and I had the greatest story, but it's one that I can't share because it's a little risque. And I sent it to her, and she said, "Yeah, you can't really mention that. She can't post about that." But I thought of another one. So, Siobhan, at some point during this call, if you want, I will share a very quick, but pretty horrific story that happened at Edge.
Y'all, I love to start us off with suspense. We're like,
Yeah,
what is
that's what
that
it is.
story? Is
You
it
guys have to stick around so you get to hear the story. It's cool,
we
scary, weird, and cool.
we do appreciate story time with David Goldberg. DMB in the house. What is up, Terry? Hey, Janet. We've got Roberta already saying she was Mary Poppins. Roberta, I am doing the Jolly Holiday version. And not the nanny one, which is a little bit harder. Yes, Howard in Devon, he knows what I'm talking about. That's a more difficult costume. Y'all, I am super pumped because today we have a special guest. And this special guest is a person who I actually scouted myself when we were like, we need some more coaches, we need some more talent. And I was like, I met at an Edge Studio mixer the most charismatic, charming, delightful human who's also an Edge alumni, who is a full time voice actor, so busy that he's hard to get a hold of. But I'm going to hunt for him because he's great. And I sent him a message on Twitter like a weirdo. I did.
Yep.
And
Yes, you
that
did.
is Issa Deas. Issa, good afternoon to you. Hello. How are you today? Welcome.
Good afternoon. Yes, you did send it on Twitter. And it was so, what was funny about it is I'm generally the type of person, like, people don't send messages that way to me. So when you first sent it, I was like, Siobhan. Oh, then I was like, let me look up and see who this is. Like, somebody's trying to spam me or troll me. And I was like, oh, Siobhan, hey girl, how you doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And I'm glad you made that connection.
It really is. I'm the social media person and the one who teaches socials, which is like, hey, you have a Twitter account, you get jobs, my people. They find you, they send you
Yep.
DMs, and then they connect you to the multiverse, as it were. So, yeah, Issa is just a delightful human, super fancy. Issa, Geddes is cheering for you. So I'm so happy to do this. The way we get this started, my humans who, if it's your first time, welcome. You might be like, why is that woman yelling a lot? I do drink a lot of coffee, but I promise I'm gentle, overall. So the way this is going to work is the chat is the magical space. That is where you make jokes, you give me song lyrics you like, talk to me about your Halloween costumes, and also filter some questions to Issa or David. Issa is a full-time voice actor and a coach. David, obviously, our engineer and director of Edge Studio, chief Edge officer, as we like to say, and I will facilitate them. You are all on mute, not because I don't love your beautiful voice, but because it is just a little bit easier to manage the Zoom chaos. And so we go slow, we do our best. But give me all your questions and I will hand them over. But the way I want to start today, the way I love to do with a special guest, is to just say, Issa, would you mind giving us a little primer for you about your journey into voice acting and how you ended up where you are?
Sure. It's a long, long tale, so I'll keep it short. I'd say I've been in the industry now for roughly 10 years, and I came at it kind of through the back door. I didn't come at it directly. I was a suit and tie working in commercial real estate, the full shebang, doing acquisitions down in kind of like the finance portion of the industry. And I always had a knack for making voices. I always had a knack for the more performative side of things. And I always had a knack for communication. I did go to LaGuardia High School, but I went there for visual arts. And I'm like, well, I don't want to live in my mother's basement being an artist, so I'm going to go get a real job and do that. So I went and got a real job and did that and got my master's in it, and I hated it. It was awful. So long story short, came back to the arts, but this time actually got from behind the canvas and decided to paint, pictures with my words. Always kind of had like a nice little talent for it based on other people's input. I didn't believe them at first. And I actually connected with a professional at the time who also had come from a real estate CMBS background, a little different than what I was doing. But she was like, hey, you should check this studio out, Edge Studio. Okay. They'll give you a very honest assessment of, whether there's something here or whether there isn't. And long story short, came in for the assessment, said there might be something here, might be worth pursuing. If you want to do it, we might see that you could do something with this. And did that, produced my first demo from there, and I flew from there. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in those 10 years, but let's keep it short and sweet. But here I am 10 years later. And yes, full-time voice actor, represented. And I love that I took that plunge.
So can you briefly talk about the types of work you do?
Sure. I primarily do commercial and narration work. I say commercial probably accounts for 90% of what I do. This is not by design, nor is it a problem or anything like that. It's just for whatever reason, I've been able to book that commercial work, book narration work. I'm learning that I have a voice that makes people feel very comfortable. So I'm very good at medical narration, but not the medical narration when you get into the very detailed aspect of medical terminology, which I also do, but the ones where it's like, if you sign up for United Healthcare, or if you sign up with our insurance, for whatever reason, they just love my voice for that stuff. So that's primarily what I do. Also, I've done some video game trailers, that type of stuff.
Very cool.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Michael says the name for your autobiography is From Behind the Canvas. So we've got your whole press team here,
It's
good. Right on it. Okay. Issa, love your story. Okay, lots of love in the chat. I'm scrolling up to get to the top of our people. Okay. Also, Michael Fleming, the first question is, does David get any sleep? That's a great question.
I'd like to know why someone asks that question. Like, do I look tired? Am I yawning? Now, certainly, during an average AMA, ask me anything. It's an hour long. I probably hold in about a dozen yawns, but does it show? I thought I did a pretty good job at hiding it.
That was such a proper answer.
Have I answered your emails at like 3 a.m? I don't get too much sleep now. I feel well.
We have multiple Mary Poppinses in the room, and okay, so here we go. Okay, there. All right. This is a broader question, and I don't know if we want to tackle this in a few different ways. I'm gonna see Issa if you feel comfortable talking about part of this. This is from Jamie, who is an audiobook narrator trying to get noticed and recognized in the animation world. So you've said you've done some video game trailers, Issa.
Mhm.
How'd that happen?
Um, that happened via my agents actually.
Yeah.
I didn't wind up producing an animation demo or character demo until after I got those. It was just I was going out for commercial auditions. At that point I had improv and acting under my belt, and so this actually called for some acting chops. And they said, "Hey, come in. You're playing the basketball in this Ubisoft trailer, the basketball guy." And lo and behold, one thing kind of led into another. In terms of making the transition, the thing about voiceover is there's not only one way to do anything, or rather there's very few times where there's one way to do anything. So making the transition from audiobook to video games, um whew, I was just on a call through the voiceover network, listening to two representatives from Random House. They have an online platform um, where they produce a lot of audiobook work. But unbeknownst to most people, myself included, they don't only focus on audiobook work. They also focus on commercials, animation. So they were encouraging people to put up everything. Even if you don't necessarily have work in that area, record yourself doing something as well as your professional produced demos. That's one way to get into it. Another way to get into it is to actually work with an animation or character coach, someone who's active in the industry, who can give you real-time, up-to-date information. That's across the board. I have found that when you work with people who are not just skilled in what you want to do, but also have a very close ear to the ground as to what is happening right now in real time in your industry, it'll save you a lot of time and it'll make you leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. So that's another way, and a typical way that people break in.
Mm-hmm.
David, you want to add anything to that?
Uh, yeah, I think that of all the audiobook narrators that I have worked with or who I've worked with over the years, a lot of them could be good at video game narration, but a lot necessarily wouldn't. So I would encourage anyone, whoever asked that question, I would encourage you to get an assessment with an animation coach, because before you go and spend all of your time and money um, training and putting together a demo, start with an assessment. It could be it's a very unique set of skills. Being an audiobook narrator, it's a very different set of skills narrating animation work and video game trailers. So start with an assessment. We have a couple of coaches on staff who are fantastic at that, who can help you. So you can always speak with our office if you want a coach for that.
Jamie also asked, like, is getting an agent step number one? And I just want to highlight what Issa said, which is there's no, unfortunately, one way. So, step number one, it's like, you're thinking about the process and what works for you or would feel good for you. And like, that's where, we recommend you go, because everybody's doing things so many different ways. And
Yep.
keeping the wheels spinning is the main name of the game, which I know is not like that is exhausting and overwhelming for a lot of people, but this is what we chose, right? So we're jumping in that way. Issa from Luke. Hey Luke, great to see you. Luke says, do you recommend agents, or are we better off without an agent?
It depends. It's a matter of preference. I personally like agents, and I'll tell you why I like agents. Okay. I guess I didn't waste my business background when I was doing that, because one thing you learn in business is when you're going into investment deals with people, who has skin in the game and who doesn't have skin in the game. I like agents because agents have a skin in the game in my in whether I succeed or not. If I succeed, my agent succeeds. If I don't succeed, my agent doesn't succeed. So my agent is motivated to have me succeed. So I like that setup. I know people who don't like agents because they don't want to necessarily give away a percentage of their income or dues to someone for something that they can do. That's going to be a case by case basis. I'm sorry there's so many of these questions like, well, it kind of depends what you like. But here's what I will say. there's a ton of jobs where you can make a very fine living without ever having representation. But there's also a ton of jobs where only agents have access to these type of jobs. So it really depends on what it is that you're looking to do, right? So if you're looking to be on those AAA video games, or you're looking to be in those major campaigns, I've had a few of those that haven't come through agents, but the much bigger ones and maybe the concentration have come through agents. So if I were to give you a stamp answer, maybe a mix of both.
And and here at Edge Studio, some of our coaches have representation and some of them do not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, both of all of these parties of people are content with their workflow,
Yep.
which leads us, David, if you're comfortable, I'm going to jump into the next question.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I think we answered that sufficiently. From John. What's up, John? Thanks for being with us. John says, Issa, he's curious to know about your home studio, one,
Mm-hmm.
and your typical workflow, which is a question I love.
Okay, cool. When he asked about my home studio, just what's in it essentially, is that
Can
that's
you
it?
give us a little, paint the picture to keep our metaphors?
Sure. Well played, Siobhan. Well played indeed. Um, my home studio. My home studio. Right now, I have 4 different microphones, but I only mainly work off of one. I have a Sennheiser 416. If you're just curious as the tech that I have, I have. I live in a relatively quiet neighborhood, so there is some level of sound isolation, but I didn't have to have a super amount of sound isolation. If there's nothing happening, and there's no isolation in this room, you can't hear anything. That's what it normally sounds like, but I do have some isolation in case somebody's mowing their lawn. I built my own absorption panels from scratch. You can go online and find out how to do that, or you can go online and order them. They're not terribly expensive, just look for the right things. And basically, I have my situation set up where the whole room is treated. So I'm in a room, I'm not in a booth. I'm in a room, the room is treated. I have sound isolation where I need it. I have absorption and bass traps where I need it. My floor is not technically raised, but I have put a lot of padding and absorption materials underneath the floor to get the sound that I want. And I've been able to get a very nice sound from that. I have a Focusrite 2i2i interface in case he's curious about that. One thing I will say about this, because I start throwing out these big things, you're like, oh, I've got to get the $1,400 microphone. I purchased that 1,400. I've been full time for a while now. I purchased that $1,400 microphone a year and a half ago. So that doesn't mean don't get the microphone. That does not mean do get the microphone. But what that does mean is when it was time for me to get it, and it just made sense at a certain point. I would purchase stuff as it made sense for my budget, as it made sense for my income, and as it made sense for where I wanted to go. But there are a lot of quality sounding mics that are not going to be at that level of price. Of price.
This is so important for people who are like, oh, I have to get all the fancy things to understand
No.
that full-time VOs are slowly progressing and building out the studio space. So everybody just like group
Yeah.
exhale. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Can we then segue, Issa?
Wait. Sorry. Let me throw in one thing. Just,
Yeah.
I love what Issa said, and thanks so much for that. I just want to sort of back that up and take it a step further because for most home studios, the sound absorption is way more important to the sound quality, to your sound quality, than the microphone that you have. So a $1,400 Sennheiser 416, yeah, it's a great mic. But these days, a $200 USB, like an like an Audio Technica mic or something, a USB version for 200 bucks, in a well treated, sound room is fantastic. So again,
Yeah.
if you have limited budget, if you have a limited budget, put your money into sound absorption before the
Yeah.
equipment. You can always upgrade the equipment, but if your room doesn't sound good, even with the best microphone, you probably will have a hard time getting work.
Yep.
Quality advice, my peoples. We're just like in the golden zone here. I wanna then segue. This is also really good, Issa. We're talking about typical workflow, and I think this is a thing we don't really maybe discuss enough in VO of like how people structure their days so that you like know and still have time, for your family and I don't know, maybe relaxing. Does anybody do that? Can you walk us through?
What's that?
Yeah, I know. Cool. Okay. Same page. We're on the same page. But can you tell, can you tell us a little bit about your typical day and how you structure it?
Yes. So I have two young children, 2 and 4, daughter and son, respectively, and so that's a big part of it, right? So I'm pretty much up in the morning at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, prepping stuff. I happen to be the chef in the house because I like to cook, although sometimes it gets quite overwhelming, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. Usually around 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8:30, after I've dropped them off from school, I'm right in the booth. I already have my schedule set up from the previous night as to what needs to get done, because I've got and my memory hasn't gotten bad, but I have so much on my plate right now that, like, if I don't set stuff up, like I could miss something very, very easily, or so make sure you're setting stuff up, make sure you're setting up your day. I'd say from about 8 to 8:30 until about 12:30 to 1, that's auditions. And that could be that's auditions and or like my morning bookings. Okay. And then I will try to take out time for myself, take a break, take a breather. Okay. Get some food. I don't eat breakfast in the morning. It's my thing. It's not a health thing. It's just how I feel. I drink, I hydrate, I have maybe a small piece of fruit. I go in and then I eat probably midday. It's just the way my body works. After my lunch, I then pop back in the booth, and then there's always, especially with my agents, there's always some like last minute audition that comes in like every day. So there might be a handful. This is great. This is not a complaint. This is exactly what you want. This is my job. But there's always like a handful of auditions that are coming in after that, like 12 noon, 1 o'clock spot that I have to deal with. And my afternoon bookings are that time. And then probably around, I'd say 3:30. And now I have to play it by ear, because I got to pick my kids up from school. I got to make sure they're good. I got to make sure they're taken care of. And then I got to hop back in the booth. So I'm constantly juggling, but that's how I set up my day, more or less.
Awesome. Look at all that structure and planning, which is sometimes, counterintuitive to creative people. But it's certainly, if you have a family. And Issa, your kids are little.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, that's a
yes.
lot of work. I was a nanny for 6 years, which is why I'm channeling Mary Poppins this year. And boy, being able to be like, bye bye, babies, at like 6 p.m. and like, good luck, mom and dad, like that was
Yep.
awesome because it's really a lot of labor.
Yes.
David, do you have a regular kind of schedule that you sort of do, or does it change? Your kids are older. We got two dads in the house, my people. But is your schedule kind of as regimented as that, David, would you say?
Yeah, it's all structured around kids. It really is. My wife is the chef, but I'm the waiter and the dish cleaner. So I'm like, I got your backside there, Issa.
Yep.
Yeah, so she's pulling off eggs and and toast, whatever, in the morning, and I'm right behind her cleaning at the sink. Yeah, we get our
Yep.
kids off to school. We're both of our boys are walkers, so but then I'm at my computer throughout the day and picking them up. Um,
Yep.
Precisely at 2:10, at least the moment. This is funny. Usually, right before these calls start, I say to Siobhan, "Remember, we have to end on time." The reason is because I need to bolt out of here to get my son, who's 14, from high school. That's the
Yep.
reason why these end on time, guys. If you wanted these to go further or longer, I should say, blame our high school. That's the timing they gave us. Anyway,
Yep.
but let's get back to some VO questions.
Let's do it. I like this one. This is from Janet. Issa, did you, you talked a little bit about your transition from sort of like, you were doing visual art, then you moved out of the basement to have a real corporate, job, and then you transitioned to back to this freelance kind of voiceover life. And Janet wants to know if you had to deal with any naysayers amongst your friends and family who were against your switch to VO. And at what point were you able to fully switch to VO? Was there like a moment that you remember where you were like, I can do this now?
Ooh, okay. Let me break that down. I was never in the basement. I was too proud to be in the basement. Okay. So I went into business so I would not end up in it. Was fear of the basement. I no longer have fear of the basement. And maybe that's why I don't live in the basement.
Wow.
Oh,
Profound.
oh. um, Naysayers. Yes, most people. If they were okay, let's break this down. There's I understand the question, but I want to. There's people who have a negativity to their response in that naysayer category of like, if Siobhan, you were to tell me something that you're doing, I'd be like, if you, I don't think you do it, but good luck, right? That's a negative naysayer. There's people who have a concern to what you're doing, like, are you sure you really want to do that, Siobhan? You've been doing this for okay, well, good luck, right? And then there's all types of people that fall in that category. Yes, I would say most people outside of the arts don't under. Here's what I have found. Most people will fall in these multiple categories of what we'll call naysayers, whether it comes from negative intent or not, because most people don't understand the arts, because people think the arts are like mystical and a calling from God in the heaven above. That could be true in terms of your innate talent, right? But the arts are no different than any other business. I don't know why I've been so lucky to get where I've gotten in the time that I've been able to get here, but I do know that I applied everything that I applied when I was in real estate to this. When I was in real estate, I'm like, I want to get here. Let me talk to some people who are there. I want to get here. Hey, how did you get trained to get there? Because that's where I want to be. Hey, how did you get here? Do I have to have a certain level of education to get there? What did you do? And just like, you get what I'm saying? And then doing those steps. So yes, there's going to be a lot of naysayers, but I think the naysayers come because people don't understand that it's just like any other craft. And one thing I have found is that if people can't see the end, they're a lot more trepidatious about making a beginning. So if somebody says, I'm going to med school, they know what the end product is. So they go, wow, congratulations. If somebody says, I want to be a carpenter and I'm going to trade school, they know what the end product is, right? And they're like, wow. If somebody says, I want to be a singer, right? They're like, well, I mean, I guess I sing in the shower. Like, there's only like 5 Beyoncés really that I know, like of all the people on the earth. Like, all right, if you want to wait tables for the rest of your life, you get what I'm saying? It's people, if they can't see it, they'll put it out of their mind. So long story short, they will be there. Take it with a grain of salt. And if you can see it, work towards it. Work towards it. But be open to criticism, because sometimes people are giving you criticism that you might take as a naysayer, but they might be saving you from harm. So just make sure that you're paying attention. But yes, plenty. They only stopped when they started seeing my commercials. And then one of them, my mom, found out how much money I made and she shut up. I love my mom. She's like one of my greatest supporters for the longest. She was like, what did you? Oh, okay. Well, good.
There is such a thing as tough love,
Yep.
there really is. Um, David, was your family, when you started, opening your music recording studio, was your family doubtful or questioning of your path?
No, but it's for a different reason because it was so gradual.
Mm.
I was recording music throughout high school and really sort of began the name Edge Studio back in my college dorm. So, I was occupied with school and a part-time job and just running some recordings on weekends and things. And it grew. And so by the time I graduated, I pretty much had some established clients and enough to support myself. So my parents were like, cool, that's great. Go for it.
Nice.
And Issa, did you have a certain amount of gigs coming in that allowed you to sort of be like, I'm going to quit my other work and I can manage this? Did you quit your other work before you were financially sure, or can you tell us a little bit about that transition?
Um, yeah, there was a certain point where I saw the money coming in and I didn't quit right away, because one of the jobs that I was doing was I was tending bar, like professional bartender working in like high-end restaurants and high-end establishments, right? And I'm a big fan, whatever you do, put your best foot forward. So I'm a very good bartender, right? Okay. I enjoy tending bar. So I had trouble letting the bar go because I loved it so much, but I love VO more. But there was a point where it was cutting into my time. Once it started cutting into my time, where it's like, okay, I'm getting these voyeur things. What did I get into this for? I did this to get here. I didn't do this to get here. Maybe I'll open a bar later, but it was right at when it started cutting into my time to produce my work that I was like, okay, now it's time to let it go.
Mm, mm. Cool. So now we've already understood that Issa makes good food and good drinks. So I'll babysit the kids. Or do it. Also,
And he makes
all
his
I heard
mom
was
happy.
all I heard was babysit kids. You're hired. You're hired. You're hired.
we'll change services here. Um, I have yeah, from Howard. Issa is so clear, so focused, brilliant. She's got a lot of love in the chat. This is great. We've got some vocal warm-ups. Issa, what is your vocal warm-up ritual, if there is one? Do you spend a lot of time doing warm-ups before you start your recording? Do you not do that at all? How do you get it going?
Mostly, I sing. I am not a singer. I can hold a note, but I sing. There's this website called Verba Vocal, right? I like the lady because she has a British accent, so it sounds more like impressive because she speaks like this. But there's tons of them online. But I sing, and I do sing. I sing for vocal strength because I enjoy singing, although I'm not necessarily a professional. And so that's what I do. After I do that for probably like good 15 minutes or so, I'll kind of, hum or sing my favorite song. And then if you could be a fly on the wall and you'll hear me, I'll start making funny voices. Even if it's just commercial work, I'll go all over the place and then I jump into my work.
Mm.
Occasionally, I don't do any warm-ups on purpose. Not recommended, but if I have to be truthful, I have to be truthful. David may want to chime in on this one. When you wake up in the morning, your voice has a very specific sound. And there's been one or two times where it still sounds like me, but there's a very specific sound that I think may fit the role that I'm going for in the morning. So I will not do warm-ups because I want that sound for that specific thing, but that's only happened like once or twice. Typically I warm up, if that makes any sense.
hmm Can you repeat the website again for with the British woman who guides you through?
Uh, I don't know the exact website because I always Google it, but it's called Verba Vocal.
Verba, like Verbra.
Yes, VERBA vocal, VOCAL.
Got it. Yeah.
Is it .com? Is it .com?
Cool. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure the people will help me find it, but I just dropped what you've just said into the chat. Oh my gosh, Bill Clark already did it. Bill, you're the man. Thank you. It's in the
Yes, Bill.
chat.
And she's just fun. I do. She has tons of things, and I think she's a professional singer, and you can actually book her for time if you wanted to do that. But she has all these free warm-ups that are just they're fun and they're fantastic, and so that's what I do. But there's plenty online if you don't like that.
Issa, classic age-old question, my favorite question. Do you sit, do you stand, or is it half and half when you record in the booth?
Um, I am a huge fan of standing. It allows more oxygen to get into your lungs, but I also sit. So it depends. Look, if I'm going for something that's like excited, one of the things is physicalizing, and you'll learn this when you coach at Edge or you coach with me or anyone. It's like physicalizing your script, right? My legs work, and I'm not trying to make a joke. Like my legs work. So if I have to say like this is amazing, I want to feel that from the ground. You get what I'm saying? Like I want the power to come from my legs. Like this is amazing while I'm on mic, and not just feel it from my diaphragm up and just say this is amazing because then I'm only getting this because it's going to be subtle, but my voice is going to show what's happening physically around me. So if I have to sound super excited or just like high energy, I will oftentimes stand. If I have to sound a little bit more subdued and just this is kind of psychological. Okay, I might sit down, move up on the microphone a little bit more, and just be right here. So it depends.
Mm-hmm. I also want to say, to the singing point, I don't know if I have a Danielle Quisenberry fans in the house, but I trained with her for my narration demo, and we used singing to help me understand my breath support and breath control because
Hmm.
it sort of comes, singing is speaking on sustained breath. Like that's literally what singing is. So it's a great place to start for that, for understanding breath support and control when you are speaking, where it somehow gets psychologically more difficult. Amazing. Yeah,
I,
wow.
I got a question, and along those lines for David. David, do you find that when maybe you're on the other side of the glass, do you notice any difference and whether a talent that you're coaching is, I guess it would be more for demo coaching when we were in person. Do you hear a difference when someone is sitting or standing? Do you find any difference at all? Just curious.
Yeah, there are a lot of differences. Exactly what you said. I mean, the physicality is huge when someone is standing, and sometimes that's desirable, and sometimes not so desirable. But also, from our end of things, from the directing end of things, sometimes just based upon the length of the script
Mhm.
and the mere fact that it would be very, very challenging for a voice actor to stay in the exact same position for a
Right.
long period of time, like days and days on end, right? For an
Yep.
audiobook, for example, standing, that can be tough,
Yes.
will hurt their back eventually. And sometimes it happened years ago, but I worked with a voice actor who was adamant upon standing for an audiobook. And sure enough, about a day or 2 days into this very long project, their back eventually hurt and they needed to sit. But now their voice did sound different. And so
Ah,
that was an issue, right? We had to sort of get that sound of them standing even while they were sitting.
mm,
Sitting also has some other challenges. Sometimes you have a chair that's not completely quiet. Some people,
right.
some voice actors who sit tend to like move their arms more often, or you get more clothing noise just because
Mhm.
their hands are up closer to their shirts. So there's some challenges there as well. But yeah, when it's possible, I prefer a voice actor to stand.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
When you get Johnny Heller, our audiobook expert here at Edge Studio, he will, have a baby about it because he's like, you're going to stand the whole book? Because if you make that decision, you have to keep
Right.
it, and so he
Right.
likes to yell at people about it. But he
And
and
you
his,
also have to, yeah, and also think about the kind of microphone you have, because Issa's mic is a considered more of a shotgun style microphone, which the
Yes.
pickup pattern is really small. So
Mhm.
he's dealing with a very, very directional microphone. So if he moves even an inch or two to the left or right or up or down, that's
Yep.
going to drastically change the sound quality of his recording. Whereas if you have a more traditional microphone that's open faced, that has a larger pickup pattern, then you're able to move around a bit more comfortably around the microphone. So if you do want to stand, for a lot of voice actors, especially those who are sort of shifty or fidgety, you may not want to deal with a shotgun microphone.
Yep.
And then back to the something we spoke about earlier today, if your recording area is better treated for sound, then you have a bit more liberty in the amount that you can move. You can move a bit more without it affecting the sound too much. But if your room has any echo in it, if you move back from the mic like that or something, then you'll hear a massive difference in the recording. So
Yep.
there are lots of considerations.
our chat is popping off. Everybody, I'm trying to get the questions that would most pertain to Issa this time. So if you have more general ones, it'll be just me and DG in 2 weeks, and we can bring those. We'll come back for that. But I really want to tap into this talent that we have with us today. And this is good. It's from our friend. I think you're in Berlin. My friend is asking, what are the yeah, I guess this is cool. Issa, he's sort of asking, what are the expectations of a US VO artist? And so, do you work with directors online typically during the session for your commercial and corporate jobs? Are you mostly on your own? What's like the typical experience of your recording projects?
Trying to see if I understand the question. The typical experience of my recording projects from start to finish, how I get them, and then how I work through the process,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah. What does your agent expect of you? I guess.
Okay. I get it. And then just in general, the expectations of a professional voice actor, I'd say in the US, I'm assuming it's the same in most places generally, and there may be some different specifics. Um, when you start, this may sound pretty simple, but it's when you're ready to go, you're ready to go, right? There's not a long warm up period. So you're already warmed up by the time you start the session. So if I have a session at 1, I'm near the building by 12, right? I might be in the building at 12:30, right? If it's okay with them, I'm in the lobby at 12:45, right? And I'm already warmed up. So when I get in the booth, it may just be, just take a second. If I have the script ahead of time, boom, boom. So be professional in the sense that you're ready to go right when the clock starts, okay? That you're coachable. That's an expectation for a U.S. Professional voice actor, and I would say for everyone. What I mean by that is essentially, if I say, "Hey, can you raise your pitch on this word," right? That you can do it on the next take. Because I said this to one of my students before. Sometimes when you're a voice actor or just an actor in general, but particularly I find with voice acting is it is very easy to wind up by yourself and alone. Not in general as a human being, I don't want to depress anybody, but you do a lot of work on your own. So sometimes you can kind of wind up in this mental sphere where you think you're on your own, but you're not. You're part of a team, right? And so you have to think that the director, they're a painter, right? But they don't know how to put that blue in there. You're the paintbrush. And so if they're trying to figure out like, would this be better with some blue in it? Boom, right? If you can do that for them, they go, oh, and they'll say, thank you. Okay, that's great. That's great. Or like, you know what? I thought it would work with blue, but no, maybe it'll work with something else. If you're coachable, you can move for them. And then it's more fun and it's more easy. So paying attention and listening to direction and being able to execute it well, being on time, being respectful of other people's time. What else can I think of? I think these are the general markers of like worldwide, even in Germany.
So, for most of your projects, when you're recording, is there a
Mhm.
director working with you in real time?
Yes,
There is.
yes, there is. Yes,
Wow.
there is. I preferred being, although most recordings right now, due to COVID, are happening in people's homes, the studios are reopening bit by bit by bit. I have been out to one studio a month ago. Um, but most of them are still recording for at home if you have a setup. Pardon me, allergies. Um, I always preferred being in person and working with people. So even when I had the ability to build a home studio, I only built it just enough to audition. I wanted all my bookings and I wanted most of my auditions, if they could be, to be in person. I still like it that way. So most of my sessions, I'm using Source Connect, okay, the paid for version of Source Connect. I'm connecting directly to Droga 5 or whoever they've hooked me up with, or at studio. And then I'm on the phone with the engineer. I'm on the phone with the director. I may sometimes be on the phone with the client, and I'm taking direction from one or multiple people.
Issa, what about your auditions? How often is someone on the phone during an audition or Source Connect?
For auditions, I would say next to zero.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So there's a lot of skills and a lot of skills that we teach where you're going to have to self-direct. Okay. I will say for somewhat larger jobs, not that I can't do it myself, I do cheat. I will call a coach and pay them for a job just to give me a totally different appeal for them to coach me on a single audition. That is few and far between. 99.9999% is all me.
Mm, mm.
For auditions.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I hope that that was helpful. There's so many great questions, and I cannot resist this one. I'm sorry, y'all. I need to pick it. It's from John Chase. If Issa could make a signature drink for voiceover artists, you can let that mull over if you need some time, But he wants to know what the cocktail would be, and we've never had a question like that in 41 episodes, so I love it.
I
Um,
don't know what it would be, but I know it would probably contain tequila because you want to have a little fun. But this would be after the session, okay? Alcohol dehydrates you and you don't want to ruin your session unless you did audition while you were drinking alcohol. Then you must drink prior to your session to be consistent. Consistency is also something you need as a professional voice actor. I forgot to say that.
yeah.
Someone has told, I've gotten a number of comments lately, but I did not think was a thing, where I'm doing a lot of campaigns that are running right now, and they don't re-record the whole campaign. They'll call me up and be like, hey, that 30 you did and the 60 or whatever, hey, we're going to add a 15, add a sentence, take out a sentence or whatever. And they said, you have a very specialized skill set. And I didn't know what they were talking about. I was like, what they said is, you can match your voice to the previous sound, whereas not every voice actor can do that. So if you can be consistent with your sound across different days and different time periods, that's a skill set that I guess stands out that I would have never thought. I just assumed everybody could do that well.
Wow.
Which is one of the reasons why we always instruct voice actors to keep careful notes on their recording sessions, right, guys? Even your auditions, you write down which mic you use, and anytime you upgrade a microphone, you always save your old microphone. Don't get rid of it.
Yep.
Because if you have to go back and match a recording from 3 years ago, you look at your notes and you say, okay, I was standing on that for that session. I was standing using this microphone with this type of EQ or something. And that's really helpful in matching the sound.
Yeah, that's excellent.
There are so many questions. It's impossible to get through them all, but I like this one from Adam Clark. I love all my Clarks in the house, by the way. We had like 4 of them, and you guys are the best. Not related. Someone was asking Issa if you're related to someone named David. I don't know if you are. Is there a David Deas in your life? Someone who,
David,
yeah.
not that I know of. Why? Does it sound like me? Look like me?
I don't
Similar
know.
energy?
Who knows? But that was earlier on. But this is good because I think it's important to understand that we are all always auditioning, and we have different strategies, and something might speak to someone. So Adam wants to know, Issa, if you have a fast technique that you use for attacking an audition script.
Fast technique meaning I
Like,
get something 15 minutes beforehand. I have to prepare and get it out in 15 minutes. Is that what you mean?
yeah, like, is there, well, I think, is there a strategy, is there a general strategy that you use to approach all of your scripts? Like, I imagine I'm talking to a person, or I sing, Truth Hurts, or is there something you do before you tackle your auditions to
Um,
help you hone in or make it good?
First thing I do is try to figure out how I feel about the script emotionally, and then how I want you as the listener to feel about the script before I even do. I mean, obviously, the first thing you do is read the script, but that's like the first piece of it, right? Because I'm gonna hook you with my emotion and my humanity, aka conversationalism. Um, and sometimes here's another fast one. Ooh, another cheat code. I used to be a gamer. Um, I will read a script and I'll try to listen to the music that should go behind it. And if I have a song on my iPad or on my computer, and I'm like, I see it, I hear it, I'll play the song right before I start breaking down the script. And then as I'm reading the script, the song is running in the back of my mind.
Wow.
And that's fast because music takes you there emotionally very quickly. You're there in a minute. But you won't always have music. So I'm just telling you, like, that's one technique. You should know how to get there without it.
Issa, what about when you don't like the script? When you're like, ugh, this is badly written, or I don't care about this product.
This never happens. I love every script, and every script is perfectly written. um, truth be told, I take it off my shoulders. I just was like, take it off. It's not. Um, I go to a place of what I do love about the script, and heaven forbid that this is a poorly written script about something that I can't imagine anything and that I don't care about. I imagine something that I do care about to deliver the script. Does that make sense? So if I can't get there for whatever reason and there's a block, I let all that go and I imagine something that is very close to me that would fit that script that I can kind of overlay onto it. Because, one of the things, like, yeah, I'm a bartender, I drink liquor, but for whatever reason, I don't like beer. Don't hit me. I just don't like it. I don't like hops. So when I get beer ads or whatever, they're like, hops, the best tasting things. And I'm just like, no, they're not. No, they're not. But I have to go to something that I do enjoy. You get what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent.
So, hey, I want to throw something in for the previous question about a quick way to audition.
Mhm.
There are a lot of the voice actors who I work with on a close basis, whether I direct them or I'm their coach. Like you, Issa, sometimes they'll call me up and say, hey, David, I have this is the audition. Like, this is like my agent said, it's a big deal, a big payout, big campaign, whatever, and they want my help auditioning. So what I always tell them is when you get the script, send it to me, but don't even look at it, no matter how tempting it is. And eventually we get on Zoom or Skype, or, in person really doesn't happen these days. However, I'm directing them, even phone sometimes. And I say, great. At some point, I'm going to say, hit record, open the script, and read it spontaneously, completely spontaneously. Now, I've looked at it previously, so I know if it probably would have a high energy music or soft music, or what the visuals may be, if there are even visuals. And then I'll paint a very quick picture to the voice actor, saying, like, just imagine it's a really crappy day, or it's a really, an exciting thing's happening. And now open the script and just read. And we get a really spontaneous take. And that spontaneity is amazing. But the problem with the spontaneous take is the voice actor may stumble on some words. They may not know to emphasize a key word. They don't even know what the keywords are, and that's all fine. So then we go through and we say, okay, let's go back and hit this word, slow down on this word, raise your pitch on that word, and that's great. But then sometimes you can go and mix the spontaneous version of your first take with the technicalities of the latter take. So in sentence 3, when you should emphasize the client name, sure, take sentence 3 from the version that was recorded 3 or 4 times, but take the first couple of sentences from the spontaneous take. And what's left over, guys, is amazing because you get a lot of spontaneity and it sounds amazing sometimes. Sometimes I've had voice actors go back and we listen to take 1, which was spontaneous, and we try to recreate that spontaneity, and you can get it. Some voice actors can, some can't. But that's just another way to go about it. The other thing I will do when telling the voice actor to get into the audition, when I'm painting that picture, I may say physically jump up and down. Like, I want you to be super enthusiastic, right? I want you to jump up and down 5 times and then open the script for the first time and read it. So again, it's not just painting the picture really, but it's getting them to imagine the visuals, the music, getting them in the energy mode. It's all super helpful.
I love the whimsical elements of this conversation.
That's great.
Yeah. In our few minutes, we're kind of closing in. David, did you want to tell us a Halloween themed horror story?
Oh yeah. So it's not Halloween themed at all, but it's you wanted a story that was like horrific. So
yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about what he might say.
Yeah, so I walked in. I walked into one of our locations once, our studio in Connecticut. It was a Saturday or a Sunday. It was a Sunday, I think. We were closed, and I think I came to get a mic or something. I don't know what I was doing, but I opened the door into the studio, and as I looked through, all the lights are off. Like, I just opened up the door, and I see the silhouette of someone standing there, holding one of our computers, like the best computer we had in our mix room. And I said, "Who are you?" And the guy looked at me, he dropped the computer and he ran out the back door. And so I realized, okay, this is like we're being robbed. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know, I'm a pretty fast runner, whatever. I can, I'm from Queens, New York. Like, we make stupid mistakes. So I chase him. I run through the studio, out the back door. The guy is now running across the street. As I'm running across the street full speed, I'm trying to grab my phone, right? Trying to dial 911. A woman on the sidewalk says something like, "What's going on?" Because she sees one person running full speed, me chasing, like saying, "Stop that guy." So she calls 911. Oh, that's my alarm to pick up my son. Sorry. She says, "I'll call 911 for you." So lo and behold, as I chase the guy across the street, there's an unmarked police car directly across the street. They get the 911 call. Amazingly, the cop is like putting 2 and 2 together, saying, "Okay, calls coming in, 911, whatever." So the robber gets into his car, takes off. At this point, the unmarked police car knows what's going on. They put the light on, and I'm thinking, how did this cop across the street know to get, to start chasing this guy? But anyway, then now there's a car chase. I'm not privy to what happens after the 2 cars take off. About a half hour later, the cops telling me that they caught the guy, and when he dropped the computer, one adapter, he still had in his hand. He just never let go of his hand, of the adapter rather. He was running, holding like fist while running, so he still had the adapter. That adapter was the proof that it was from our studio. So when the insurance company said, "We need proof that like this guy was taking like this, $10,000 computer," and he dropped it and broke and everything. So he had that adapter, and that was the proof. And I eventually got the adapter back from the police, and that was super cool. So I go home and I'm all excited to tell like my wife and kids, like, I'm like super dad, right? Like, look what I did. And to this day, like, my wife will remind me, like, don't do stupid things like that. You could have like gotten killed. And I'm like, okay, I know that. But so it was scary. It was cool. It was fun. It was exciting. And that's my story.
Good.
Wow, that was yes, we have Zoom square applause. That is wild. And we love to see that. My sweet friends, we're wrapping up here. I don't know if you know about our link tree. We have a link tree that gives you access to all the lovely little links that might be necessary for your Edge needs. Tonight, if you loved being with us today and you'll just miss us this evening, Art Bruder is teaching Audacity 101. He is a gentleman and a scholar, and I highly recommend you pop into that if you have questions about Audacity. We do have our general class schedule, and at the bottom of the class schedule, there are wait lists. On that wait list is my social media class. If you are like, I want to take Siobhan's class because I know we did it, and my new education director is like, I want to see if people actually want to take it. Here's your link. You can drop down to sign up for my wait list so that I want to bring it back to you beauties in November. If you are just starting out, Investigate VoiceOver is the place to begin, along with our Foundation Studies bundle. These are all good primers to begin your VO journey. Finally, $25 off of coaching if you have not used it yet. The code AMA will get you $25 off, and you can book a session with our one and only Issa this way. Of course, you can also do it directly with David at this link here. I just thank you all so much for joining us this fine day. Issa, any closing remarks on your part?
No, go for it. Well, I guess yes. Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I just hope that Issa's charisma. I mean, you can't get this charisma at a Hallmark store. Like, this man is so memorable and like charming. I mean, just like hopefully you don't feel like intimidated by his like powerful presence, but you actually just feel like inspired by his infectious energy and his skill. And I know that his students really value and appreciate him. And Issa, I want to thank you personally for being with us. Our kids who join us do donate their time so that we can continue to offer this free program to you all. So if you want to holler, like shower line into the chat for Issa, I will make sure that he gets it. I know there's already been a lot of great things in the chat as well. David, any closing remarks from you? Who are your kids dressing up as for Halloween? Are they still doing that?
My 10-year-old, yeah, he's a ninja. My 14-year-old is he's not dressing up. He's at that age where it's not cool to dress up.
Yeah.
Issa, my closing remarks. It was great working with you. It's been great working with you for probably 2 years now since you joined Edge, at least a year or so.
Yeah, it's about a year, a little over a year and a half. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. It's been great having you on. Thrilled that you're with us, Siobhan. Thank you as always, and most importantly to all of you who are dialing in from wherever around the world. Thank you guys. It's awesome to have you join us every other Thursday, and hope you all join us in 2 weeks. Right, Siobhan?
Yes, in 2 weeks it is back to me and DG, the your OG team, and so that would be, I think, November 4th. I think it is. I can't even believe that, but yes, it's November 4th. So that's a wild whirlwind of experience. And Issa, once again, we so appreciate you presence with us today. This was such a wonderful session. Everyone, you all look beautiful in squares or rectangles, however you want to be ID'd. I love it. Howard, it's great to have you back. Donald, it's so good to see you. Bill, I don't know if those are your, but they look so good. Is that your home? It looks, yeah, I'm talking, yeah, it looks really good though. Thank you, and have a happy Halloween, my people. Please post the Instas so I can see if you're just like eating candy or what. I miss you and I appreciate you, and take care. All right, this will be on YouTube. I'm gonna post it. You can find it on our socials tomorrow. Mwah! Bye.
Thanks, Siobhan. Thanks, David. See you guys later. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.